Pokémon Champions has been out for over 100 days, and in that time, it has done something that the entire competitive Pokémon community said was not possible. It made competitive Pokémon accessible to normal people.
Pokémon is one of the most interesting, complex, and widely misunderstood competitive games that's out there. I can say this confidently because I've been playing for over 15 years, and I've even won the Pokémon World Championships. The release of Pokémon Champions may introduce some of the biggest changes, if not the biggest changes, since I started playing. This is because the barrier to entry is now the lowest it has ever been. In the past, getting good competitive Pokémon in game required knowledge and time investment.
No IV grinding, no EV training, no spending 200 hours building a single team to lose it in round 1. When Pokémon Champions was first announced on February 27th of 2025, I was hyped. I spent countless hours on Pokémon Showdown, the unofficial fan-made battle simulator, building goofy teams, crazy gimmicks, and actually climbing the competitive ladder. I loved strategy. I hated the barrier of entry wasn't skill, but it was time. I thought Champions was my entry point in competitive play. And now, we're 100 days in. We've had 3 competitive seasons, a mobile launch, and I've had more ranked matches than I'm willing to admit. And I can tell you that Pokémon Champions is not what I expected. It's better in some ways that I didn't anticipate, but it's worse in other ways that genuinely frustrate me. So let's talk about what it's actually been like playing this game for 100 days. Can you take the most grind-heavy competitive game in the industry, a game where prepping a single team can take hundreds of hours, strip everything away entirely, and make it a game that's respectable? And more importantly, what happens when competitive Pokemon becomes available to everyone with a phone? Because this isn't just about Pokemon Champions. This is a story about what happens when a company finally admits the barrier to entry in their own competitive scene was the problem all along. And then it has to figure out what to do with millions of new players that are showing up. Players who are realizing this game may be a little bit harder than they thought. To understand why Champions matters, let's talk about the wall that it tore down. In traditional competitive Pokemon, I'll use specifically Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. The VGC, or Video Game Championships, had team building that meant breeding for perfect IVs, EV training every stat that you wanted to, finding the right nature, getting the right item, and then setting the correct Terra type. For a single team of 6, this process could take a long time. And if you wanted a brand new team to test because you didn't like yours, good luck, because you gotta start over basically, unless you recycle old Pokemon. That grind wasn't a feature, it was a wall. It kept players like myself out of competitive play. The community built Pokémon Showdown, which is technically an unofficial battle simulator. It was designed specifically to bypass that wall, and it was invaluable. The Pokemon Company knew it existed for years and did nothing about it. Then, on February 27th, 2025, they announced Pokemon Champions. It was free to start, built for Switch and mobile. It had crossplay, and the pitch was that it would have every single Pokemon come in at level 50, with perfect IVs automatically. No breeding, no grinding. Instead of EVs, you get 66 stat points per Pokemon to distribute across their stats individually. And it was simple. You can import a Pokemon from Pokemon Home, and their stats are adjusted temporarily for Pokemon Champions and reverse when you transfer them back out. The game launched on April 7th of 2026, a day early at 10:30 p.m. EST. Building a team went from a weekend project to a 5-minute task. You could throw a team together last minute, and if you don't believe me, the team that's on screen right now is the team that I used for the June 2026 monthly tournament. And I threw that together in 5 minutes and got top 20k. The friction was gone. The competitive Pokemon that nobody actually enjoyed is gone. That flexibility, the ability to experiment with stupid ideas without paying the time tax for being wrong, is the single best thing this game does. The battle interface is clean, readable, and responsive. Please mind you that I'm also in the minority that kind of likes the UI. The Mega Evolution animations are what we should be expecting, and the mobile version launched on June 17th, 2026. Play smooth, crossplay between Switch and phone are seamless. You can queue from your bed. The 1.1 update added 24 new Pokemon and Mega Evolutions, and the game currently sits at around 208 different Pokemon species and 76 Mega Evolutions. It has a 4.9 star rating on the App Store, which is the highest rated game that Pokemon has ever had. But here's where our story shifts a little bit, because 100 days in, cracks are showing. The biggest one is that a lot of the things that they advertised for this game aren't in yet. They advertised Z moves, terrestrialization, Dynamax, and Mega Evolution all to be available. Yet the only one that's available at the moment is Mega Evolution. The Omni Ring, an item that appears in the game artwork and that is shown to have all of these features connected to it, just don't have those features. They advertised this game with 4 major competitive mechanics and shipped it with 1. Then there's the roster. 280 Pokemon sounds like a lot. Till you're 100 days in and seeing the same teams. Now, it's not outplaying your opponent. It's being, oh, I know this Pokemon runs this, and this. And that's about it. The community has been saying it since launch, and they're right. Now let's stack what the community is actually saying, because the 100-day experience isn't just mine. First, mobile reviews. When Champions hit iOS and Android on June 17th, a wave of new players flooded in. In the App Store, reviews were brutal, not because the game was bad, but because competitive Pokemon is actually hard. Like, really hard. Players who thought accessible meant easy got hit with Fisher metas, Espalthra setups, and Encore loops, and they had no idea what was happening to them. The game doesn't teach competitive Pokemon. There are no tutorials for team building. There are no sample teams. There's no onboarding for what a set even is. The ranked reset cycle is way too aggressive. If you end a season at Great Ball 4, you should start the next one at Great Ball 4. If you ended at Great Ball 1, you should start the next season at Great Ball 4. If you end the season at Ultra Ball 1, you should start the next season at Ultra Ball 4. Not be paired with people who are Pokeball 4. Third, Battle Pass. The rewards they offer suck. If you have a living dex in Pokemon Home, which I'll be honest isn't that hard. I started working on one and haven't worked on it in a week, but in about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, I'm almost done with it. It's a challenge, but it's not that big of a challenge. Realistically, the only thing you should spend money on for this game is the $7 starter pack. It gives you access to having 80 Pokemon at a time, 3 teams. It's worth it in my opinion. I'm trying to be fair. A lot of veterans will tell you that the grind is to solo competitive Pokemon, breeding for those perfect IVs, EV training, building teams from scratch, whatever. That removing all of those things cheapens it and makes it less valuable or less worth it. Then that's when a newbie can copy a world champion's team in 30 seconds and the achievement of team building disappears. And they're not entirely wrong. There's something about earning your team. Spend hours breeding specific Raltses to get the right stats, and that Pokemon felt like mine. In Champions, every Pokemon feels rented. The home integration helps importing your actual Pokemon, gives them identity, but it still feels clunky. But I'm going to tell you something that somebody who was a pretty valuable friend to me said a long time ago. If you take a Pokemon player who's awful at the game and give them an amazing team, they will lose to somebody who is amazing at the game with an awful team. And that's where it sets the competitive players and the newbies apart. Yeah, it sucks, but the developers are working on adding Pokemon slowly and deliberately. Maybe too slowly, but I guess I understand why. Like, they're trying to prevent the overpowered meta Pokemon from taking over again. Like Calyrex Shadow Rider. God, he's a nightmare. I believe that this new SP system, the free-to-play model, the mobile crossplay, the instant team building, are generally revolutionary, and the competitive scene needed this change for years. The game has potential and a strong foundation, but potential isn't the same as finished. Missing mechanics, limited roster, dated graphics, weak battle pass, the aggressive rank resets, those aren't growing pains, those are signs that the game launched incomplete and is being patched toward a version that hasn't fully been set up yet. It's a starting point, not a destination. And a 4.9 star rating tells you that the audience is willing to wait. So what do I think after 100 days? I think this game's actually kind of great. I'm really glad I don't have to deal with Tinglu Fisher sets. I still have to deal with Fisher sets with no guard every once in a while, but I'm just going to ignore that. I think that after 100 days, this game has made some great progress, and I'm excited to see where this game is gonna go. And hey, I'm a Master Ball ranked player, and I've never been a Master Ball ranked player before because I couldn't get the Pokemon I needed. Now that I had an easy access to those Pokemon, I got to Master Ball ranking. You could say that I'm just lazy, but what if I'm actually right about the time gap of being just too high of a price to pay. Let me know what you think down below, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Until next time, peace.